I call her a communication specialist. She does insert herself into things at times. I am very curious about Deborah. We're on When Calls the Heart with Jack Wagner. Nathan and Elizabeth getting together. I read the script. I genuinely did cry.
Hi, everyone. I would like to welcome Loretta Walsh today. Loretta has played the part of Florence Blakely Yost on When Calls the Heart from day one of the series. So welcome, Loretta, and thanks for being here today.
Oh my goodness, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. So I want to go all the way back to the beginning, if you're okay with that. And I was rewatching the very first episode the other day, and I believe it's Florence and Abigail and Kat in the Mercantile, and Elizabeth Thatcher walks in. And of course, she's disheveled and everything. And Florence is doing her best Florence. And I laughed because even Elizabeth starts speaking in Latin, and Florence's comment is, "Well, I want to quote it right because it was so good. You can go back to Latin or wherever you came from." So can
Oh,
you talk about, because I mean, we've seen Florence grow over the years. Can you talk about how Florence has grown over the years, but what's still the same about our
oh,
favorite Florence?
thank you so much. Yes, she's gone on such an evolution, hasn't she? And I think that, when I think back to that very first scene, which was in season one, episode one, a fun fact is that we didn't shoot that in order. We actually shot that at the end of the season.
Got it.
It was snowing outside, and we had started the season in August, and it was so hot. And so it was a real journey. She has bloomed. She has blossomed. When I first kind of started playing Florence, my understanding of her was that she was just in a lot of emotional pain, right? She was very cranky and judgmental and controlling. And I think that that was sort of a response to how much pain she was in.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
over the years, she's really found healing.
Yeah.
She's found healing in her community, in her dear friends, in having purpose, in falling in love with Ned,
Mhm.
in getting her first job, working at the switchboard. And she's made some mistakes over the years. She still has a penchant for being very interested in other people's business. And occasionally, her Achilles heel is she can be a little bit gossipy. I call her a communication specialist. Um, but she still has, I guess, sort of a penchant for very strong opinions about things, and she's very suspicious of newness.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's something that she has maintained to varying degrees. And friends and Ned have helped her over the years to
Yeah.
soften up and to
And
open.
we've seen some of that this season with the comic books and
Mhm.
the newness to what's come to Hope Valley. So that's been an interesting dynamic to watch. And that was a really funny scene, seeing her at the radio table talking about the comics. Can you talk a little bit about that moment?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I loved that script written by Derek Thompson, who's also been on the show for many, many seasons. And I just thought, oh yeah, this is Flo. She has an opinion. She doesn't like it. And I'm sort of embarrassed to say that there is a part of me which is like that too. I get very sort of suspicious of the technology and AI and, well, what is that? I don't know about that. So I can sort of relate, to a certain way. I think the saving grace of Florence is that when it comes down to it, she's actually just trying to fit in. She's trying to
Mhm.
strong. Her heart is in the right place.
Hmm.
And she's a very fun character to play because she has to learn things.
Yeah.
She has to make mistakes. Um, and then sort of realize, oh, okay, I
Hmm.
overreacted or I
Hmm.
judged too quickly
Hmm.
or what have you. But that scene in the saloon with Rosemary and the radio show, it was I think it was my first day of shooting for season 12, and I just thought, what a mouthful. I couldn't believe like the words, and I was stumbling over the words,
Hmm.
constantly saying something different every time. Uh, because it was also one of those scenes, because there were so many moving parts to it. The director, Mike Roll, said, we're going to block shoot it. And what that means is we're going to do a very long scene and we're going to keep the camera in one place and we're going to do that scene from that angle, and then move so that
Yeah.
we don't have to come back to it. But what that means is sometimes the words start to become nonsensical. It's like I've said these nonsensical sentences already 500 times. So anyway, it was really fun and we got it in the end. And but it was very funny. And I was quite delighted because I improvised a
Oh,
line
yeah. Yeah.
at the end of it about, vegetables or broccoli is for eating, not deflecting space rays. That wasn't actually in the script. And so I was
No,
delighted that they kept it,
you made it.
like
Yeah.
like it is such a collaborative process. And I have so much fun going to work on this show. And a big part of that is the collaboration of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the directors and the writers and the producers and all of the crew, they really, if as an actor you improvise a little bit, they'll let you do it. It doesn't always end up in the script, but some in the actual like final cut, but in this case it did. So it was very fun and it was good to sort of revisit some of that persnicketiness
Loved
of
it.
Florence, which I just think is, you know, there's something very funny about a character who really wants to be in control
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
herself and other people and then is out of control.
I
And
think
so
she's funny, but she's also very relatable. I mean, when you see her react like she does, but then get it later on, I think if we can all just pause sometimes and go, okay, how often do we react and then have to step back? And so I think she's a very relatable character to people too. So that's good.
is, like I do run into people at the Hearties family reunion or online, and I often have heard people say, "Oh, I am a bit of a Florence myself," or "I work with a Florence, love her, but she's a bit much."
Yeah.
Everybody kind of knows a Florence in their
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
but I think that her perspective is that if she's trying to make change or if she has a judgment or wants something to change, that her intentions are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes just misguided.
So you mentioned this earlier that part of Florence's growth has been that relationship with Ned. And so
Mm.
can you talk a little bit about like how did that come to be? I mean, were you surprised to learn this is the direction we're going to go? Because it is one of our favorite relationships on the show.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I love working with Rothgar Matthews. He's become a very dear friend to me and a wonderful creative collaborator. And we have a lot of laughs together. And he's also just an incredibly kind and smart guy. And so I just really enjoy him very much. I asked for it.
Good.
I had the showrunner ask me, "Hey, what have you not done
Mm.
on the show that you would like to do?" And I just said, "Well, I think it would be an incredible surprise for a character like Florence to find a second love because it's
Mhm.
so out of character for her. She's so
Mhm.
incredibly practical
Mhm.
and she's very much of being of service to other people and to the community of Hope Valley. And so I just said, I just think it would be sort of, again, kind of there could be comedic element to it to have a
Yeah.
very controlling character feel out of control. And then also just a very heartwarming and beautiful thing for Ned and Florence to get a second chance at love and to say yes to that and to just run towards
Mhm,
that love.
mhm, mhm.
And the showrunner said, "Great, we're going to do it. We'll get you married by the end of the season." And I went, "Oh, I mean,
Here we go.
I didn't know if I had to get married, but okay." And so
Here we go.
yeah, that really started the trajectory of of of
Yeah.
how Flo and Ned came to be.
And, we saw last season when the choir was performing,
Mhm.
and they got and even when the ice cream shop opened up and they did their little ditty, they're
Yeah.
performing those moments, are amazing to us. I think so it brings a lighter side to Flow and, that fun side. And then we even had, which we'll talk here in a minute, the play last night. But can you just talk a little bit about, some of those when you get to do some of the performance pieces? Because we know that the writers, everybody has done a really good job of tapping into those extra special skills that you guys have as actors. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. I mean, the first time Rothko and I had to sing and dance, we just called each other. I think I read it and then I called him and was like, they're making us sing and dance. Like, because neither of us really classify ourselves as singers. Like we're on When Calls the Heart with Jack Wagner, who had a recording career, who was on Broadway, and there's wonderful singers on When Calls the Heart, like Kevin McGarry, Erin Krakow herself, beautiful voice. Pascal Hutton. We've got talent on
Yeah,
this show.
for sure.
And so I think Rothgar and I felt a little bit intimidated. And we were like, oh boy, they're kind of making the non-singers sing. And so we have a very similar sensibility in that we're like, because we both come from a theater background.
Yeah.
And so we're both like, okay, we need to figure out our stuff so that then when we go there on the day, we're not the problem. Because there's a lot of moving parts to sing and dance and make sure you're in the shot and all of the things. And so, yeah, Rothgar came over and we figured out our choreography. We have an excellent composer who also was in touch with us. Our director was also in touch with us to say, hey, this is, and again, collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even I think Florence had to first sing um, when Ned was having a health episode before they got married. And Peter DeLuise directed that episode. And I just remember learning the song and then going to him and saying, hey, I actually would like to change a little bit of where it is that I'm beginning because I feel like it's really important to end in this place. And just super collaborative.
Mhm.
There's a whole team of people who go, okay, awesome, great, let's try it. And so it's terrific to be on a show where you feel like you can have a voice and offer ideas. And sometimes it doesn't work out, but it is a lovely set,
Yeah.
a lovely production for that.
So Ned and Flo's wedding
Mm.
um, spurred something that's really been talked about for the last 3 seasons. It's always one of our burning questions. So
Oh.
um, Florence asked Nathan to give her wedding bouquet to Elizabeth in
Mm.
season 8, episode of 11. And of course, we call that the surge warming scene. It has its own name. So for over 3 seasons now, we've wondered what Flo had in mind giving that bouquet to Nathan. What do you think was on her mind?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. And sometimes these things get written in and we don't know. We don't know if there's foreshadowing. We don't know um, if your character has observed something and thought, huh, uh,
Mhm,
Florence is not the kind of character to be too quiet about things.
mhm,
And I think with the evolution of Nathan and Elizabeth getting together, I think that she wasn't shocked, by that, But I also don't think that she was in a place of like, oh, I was just waiting for that to happen, you know. But and so happy for them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think everybody in Hope Valley is just like, oh, they're a beautiful match.
Well, she was definitely like the favorite character of that episode, knowing that she was the one that brought the bouquet to Nathan. So we talk
Well,
about it.
I'll take it.
Take it, right? I would own it. I would own that
Take
Flo
it.
was the catalyst behind that. So
Maybe Flo, I mean, Flo really, I mean, she's a catalyst, but she also there, for a season was just such an obstacle for Nathan. She would
that's
just
true.
always be interrupting at the most inopportune time. At one point she was giving him advice about, don't rush into anything. It's like, what? She's very free
Or
with her.
carrying out the mercantile when he's like, when May shows up in town and she's trying to,
Oh yeah, yeah. She does insert herself into things at times.
yeah,
And like I think also it could just be as simple as, I mean, I'm happy to take credit for the foreshadowing, but it could also just be as simple as, Elizabeth really helped Florence
very
through
true.
through her walking down the aisle. She was a very dear and
Mhm.
supportive friend to her and was really there for her in moments of vulnerability. And so it really could have just been, oh, give those to her. I want her to know that I'm thinking of her and I thank her because it meant so much to me, that she supported me and
Mhm.
loved me and was such a dear friend to me when I was feeling,
Yeah,
a little bit overwhelmed and
yeah.
unsure about what this next step was, and in putting my heart on the line again.
Hmm.
So it could just be as simple as
As a
that.
gift. A thank you. Right?
Yes, as a
Yeah,
thank you, as
yeah,
an I'm thinking of you.
yeah.
And then also for Kevin, I'm sure he was probably like, okay,
Here's, here's some flowers.
oh, okay. Is this like does this mean something, or is this putting an idea in my head? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay, I don't want to let our time get away without talking about Sunday night's episode and the play, which was, we were all curious as to where this was going to go and who was going to be in the play. And then things kind of spun and took a different turn last night.
Hmm.
And I just have to tell you that once the play happened and we had the six gals up doing the whole play, and then Ned over on the side with all of the amazing sound effects, I was laughing so hard. Can you just talk about what it was like to film that and just I mean, even the outtakes or whatever, just share a little bit about that.
It was so fun. Right. It was so fun. And Kristen Lehman, who directed that episode, she was fantastic because she and Rothgar really created all of that business. It wasn't in the script, he was, doing sound effects or
Yeah.
whatever, but they really came up with it. Um, Rothgar is great, but he kind of steals every scene. It's like
He, he
share
kind of
some
did.
of the glory, share some of the glory, Rothgar. But it was so fun. I loved that storyline. I really like it when the ladies save the day.
Mm.
Really like it when the women of Hope Valley go, that's okay. We know how to fix the problem without any input from the guys. Love the guys, but I really love it when they take charge and go, great, okay, we can fix it.
We can do it.
That's fantastic. And I thought it was terrific.
And
Um,
and then to catch the guys over, away from everybody, isolated.
yeah, yeah. It was very funny. They did an
And
excellent
Bill's wiping his nose. I believe it was on Lee's.
job. I know they were very funny.
Yeah.
It was great. Just, it's so joyful to be on an ensemble show,
Hmm. Hmm.
when it's about a community, when it's about, these people who really care for each other and who really want the best for each other, living together and feeling a part of something. And so, so fun. I just really adore this cast very, very much. I don't know that I knew anybody in this cast when I joined the show. I think everybody was new to me, and I've just made such beautiful friendships. And
Mhm.
um, you know, I think we all just collectively hope that we just keep going,
Oh, yes,
season
we do too.
25, right? Because it's been such a gift to so many of us.
So, quick, just on that, the importance of being earnest do you know, is there more to that other than it was already around? I know it had came out years earlier. Is there anything that we need to be reading into, or was that it's just what was handed to us and we just went with it?
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as I know, it is what was just handed to us, and
Okay.
I don't know that there's anything further
No
to
foreshadowing there. Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. And the script was the same,
Yeah. Yeah.
we just looked that up. And yeah, it was very fun. And I love a costume,
Absolutely.
So when Barbara said, listen, we're gonna put you in this hat, which she's all about Lady Bracknell's hat. I have to wear the hat so I can be in character. This is very important. I need my hat. And the makeup department were like, we want her to have the red lips,
Mhm.
because it's very interesting to play a character that is um so open to performing.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
never would have guessed that about her at the beginning
Yeah.
of this. Um, and so it is very fun to kind of be able to do a little bit of performing as the character.
And she was in Rosemary's Coat.
Yes, yes, she was.
Yeah. That
Yes,
was
she
kind of fun. A
was,
little callback
which was
there.
very fun.
So we are going into the last 4 episodes of the season. What can you share with us about the last 4 episodes?
Well, I mean, I love this storyline. It's such a Hope Valley storyline in which one of our own needs help, and we're all going to band together to help them. And when I read the script, I genuinely did cry.
Mm,
Genuinely, I did. And listen, the place is called Hope Valley, So we're always looking for hope. We're always overcoming things,
mhm,
find hope and whatever it is that you're going through in Hope Valley, a big theme is that you're not going through it
mm.
alone.
That's good.
So what I would say is that, this show is called When Calls the Heart.
Mhm,
And there's a lot of heart coming in this last stretch of
mhm, mm.
episodes.
Yeah.
And so, I would have some tissues close by, but also just that whatever happens, we're all going to be in it together.
Coming together. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we've heard heart, we've heard heartbreak, we've heard
Mm.
catastrophic, yes, but
Yeah.
at the root of it, we've heard that there's a community and it really is about the heart. So
Yes, that's right.
yeah.
So, I think Hope Valley is an extraordinary place because it really is a community where we take care of each other. And no matter what the hardships are, you're not alone. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that all of us really want,
Yeah.
in our own communities, in our own lives, to have people that we can say, I'm struggling or something really catastrophic has happened.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
need support and I actually may need help. And yes, that's definitely the Hope Valley way, which is a very beautiful part of the show.
We are crossing our fingers for season 13.
Oh, me too.
Is there anything that you're already dreaming about with Florence that you're like, oh, I'd like to see this, or you have any
Yeah,
ideas?
I do.
Okay.
Listen, just like Florence, I got tons of ideas. Um, one thing that has not been um explored in Florence's character is her daughter. She has a
Mm,
daughter who would be
yes.
who lives out of town, who's at college, Deborah, and I have a daughter. And my daughter is a lot younger.
Mhm.
I'm really in the thick of, motherhood. And so I am very curious about Deborah, and I'm very curious about the dynamic that she and Florence have. I would love to see what Florence is like as a mum.
Oh, that would be great.
What
Yeah.
kind of a mother is she?
Mm.
And is her daughter in complete opposition to her? Is she completely modern and free and in opposition to Florence, or are they very similar? And
Mhm.
so that is something that I'm curious about. And I would love to know more about that.
That sounds great.
Mm.
That sounds awesome. Well,
Yeah, I know
I
we're
won. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And hopefully, you all will be back at work in a few months. So that would be fantastic. So,
would love it. I think we're all very, very much of the same mind that we just know what a very special experience it is to be on the show and to have been on the air for so many years. And we have such gratitude to the Hearties and the fans of this show that really are an extraordinary fan base. And we see the comments and we see the tweets, and we just deeply appreciate the love and generosity that the Hearties give to us. It really is just a movement in a way, a movement of kindness and its own community. And so sometimes I say, especially as we get closer to the finishing of a season,
mhm,
we
mhm,
never really know. Are we going to come back? Are we going to do another one? We're always super hopeful, but we never know. And so
mhm.
I always find myself kind of looking around Hope Valley and just sort of thinking, wow, I think one day when this is all said and done,
Mhm.
whether that's in a year or 5 years or 20 years, I think we're all going to really be quite touched at what an incredible thing
Mhm.
part of.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I don't take that for granted for a second.
No, and I mean, even for us as fans, the friendships that we've made, the connections that we've made as a result of this show is just amazing. So it's really special.
Yes, it
Thank
is.
you, Loretta, so much for bringing flow to us. Thank you for spending some time talking with me today, and wish you all the best and cross our fingers for season 13.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your work and all of your time. And yes, season 13, I hope. I hope. We would love it.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.